Okay, this video is all notes, and we're not doing very much. We're not actually going to solve these. I need to show you a little thing to do. I want the notes taken. You don't have to finish the problem. So we just got done solving these. There's two answers because we got second power. And in the equation, I got x to the second and I got x to the first. Now, I usually draw my box, but we have a problem. In the first packet you did, there was always a 0 over here. Well, that's not the case in this packet. But you need to get the 0 there. So to get the 0 there, I need to do either use the addition or the subtraction property of equality. So that's 6x to the first, that's negative. So I'm going to plus 6x to the 1, and that can cross out. But then we have to do it on the other side too. Well, there's a problem with that. 6x to the 1 and 3x to the second are different powers. That's a 1, that's a 2. So they can't be added together. So what you do is you go up above your equal sign and you write plus 6x to the 1. Okay, so here's what you write after that. First you kind of block this off. And then you write 3x to the second plus 6x to the first, and then write your equals, and then you can write 0. Okay, and then I can just proceed with the problem like I did in the other packet, but we're not going to do that. That's not what this is about. Okay, my next problem. I got two answers. We're not going to find them though. Okay, you have x to the second and x to the 1 on that 10. Okay, when we have this, we're going to make our GCF, but I can't do that until I have 0 on this side. So this time the 10x of first is positive, so we do the subtraction property of equality. So I minus 10x to the 1, and that will cross that out. And then I can't do x to the 1 with x to the second, so I put minus 10x to the 1 above the equals. So I block that off, and now I write 5x to the second minus 10x to the 1, and then equals 0. Okay. Notice how I keep these separated. Okay, next problem. Two answers. And I have x to the second and x to the 1. All right, so if that's the case, we need a 0 on this side. So I have a negative 4x to the 1, so it's negative, so I do the addition property of equality. And then I would put that up above my equals, okay? So I have negative 3x to the second plus 4x to the 1. And then that equals 0. Okay, and then I could go make my box and all that jazz. Okay, next problem, there's two answers here, because I have x to the second and I've got x to the first. Okay, so we need everything on one side of the equation. That 6x to the first is positive, so I do the subtraction property of equality if I want to cross it out. And then up above the equals. Okay, so I block that off and I write negative 8x to the second minus 6x to the 1, and then I can put equals 0. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, there's two answers. I'm not going to find them in this packet, but that's fine. X second, x to the 1. Okay, so that 16x to first is negative, so I add it. Plus 16x to the 1. And then up above the equals, plus 16x to the 1. So I have negative 2x to the second plus 16x to the 1 equals 0. That's all really I want you to do is pay attention. Two answers. We got x to the 2, x to the 1. Okay, the 12 is positive, so I use x to the 1, so I subtract 12x to the 1. And that would go up above the equals, so minus 12x to the 1. So I have negative 3x to the 2 minus 12x to the 1. Then I put equals 0. Okay, 2 answers here. And I've got x to the 2 and x to the 1. Whenever the x is to different powers, you have to have the 0. So if we have a negative on the 14, we're going to add the 14 with its x to the 1. That cancels. And then above the equals, we add 14x to the 1. It doesn't go with this because that's x to the 2. Okay, so now I have 7x to the second plus 14x to the 1 equals 0. Okay, we've got x to the 2, x to the 1. So there's 2 answers. I'm not going to find them, though. You don't have to either. This is all notes. So 24, it's positive, so I do the subtraction property of equality if it's positive. If it's negative, you do the adding property of equality. So that crosses out. Then I do that above the equals, minus 24x to the 1. Okay, once again, we got to keep the x2 and the x1 separate. So 8x to the second minus 24x to the 1 equals 0. Okay, next problem. There's 2 answers. We got x2, we got x1. So I got to take what's over here, negative, so you're going to add 6x to the 1. And that goes above the equals, plus 6x to the 1. So we have negative 4x to the second plus 6x to the 1 equals 0. Okay, if I had to solve it, there'd be 2 answers because I have x second. I've also got x to the 1. Oh, get rid of this if I can't write it right. Let's just not look at it. Okay, next one. 2 answers. We have x to the 2, x to the 1. Here's the x to the 1. So I need 0. It's negative 18, so I do the adding property of equality along with the x to the 1. And we put that above the equals, plus 18x to the 1. So that's negative 16x to the 2 plus 18x to the 1 equals 0. Okay, 2 answers. And we have x to the 2 and x to the 1. Okay, so negative 10x to 1, we do the adding property of equality. And that would go up here, so plus 10x to the 1. So we got 5x to the second plus 10x to the 1 equals 0. Okay, and then I could do my GCF, and then the F1, F2 equals 0. Don't do that, though. You don't have to do that. Okay, 2, and we got x second and x to the 1. If there's an x without a power, it means it's to the first. Okay, so it's positive, so we do the minus with the x to the 1, and then put that above your equals, minus 18x to the 1. So I have negative 3x to the second, and then subtract 18x to the 1 equals 0. Okay, here's 2 answers. And again, we got x to the second and x to the 1. Okay, so we have negative 28, so I add 28x to the 1 and add it. Up there, you got to keep the x1 and x2 separate. You can't put them together. Okay, negative 7x to the second plus 28x to the 1 equals 0. Okay, 2 answers here. You got x to the 2 and x to the 1. The x to the 1 term is negative, so I use the adding property of equality. So I have nowhere to put that, so I put it above the equals, and then I write negative 8x to the second, then the plus operation, and then the 2x to the 1 equals 0. Okay, next problem. There'd be 2 answers to find, and you've got x second and x1. So we need to move them both over here. This is already over here. So 28 is positive, so I do the minus. And that would go here, minus 28x to the 1. Keep them separate. Okay, so we got 14x to the second power minus 28x to the 1 equals 0. Okay, that's all you have to do. You don't go back and find the answers.